92 Waldorf, WK.
Welcome to the Carmiece Grace Radio Show. Thanks for tuning in. We out that this. I'm feeling it.
The views and opinions
Summertime is lit.
do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of News Talk 1450 WOL.
I know it looked hazy, Robert. I don't know. I wiped the screen.
Good morning and welcome to the Carmiece Graves Show. Get ready to get great information on knowing your rights on estate planning, bankruptcy, divorce, alimony, and much more. Now, for today's show, here's attorney Carmiece Graves.
Welcome, welcome. Welcome to the Carmiece Graves Radio Show. I'm Carmiece T. Graves. I missed you guys so much last week. I was in court doing what attorneys do. Speaking of what I do, I am practicing family law, estate planning, and bankruptcy in Maryland and DC. In this show, I come on weekly to share tips and things that I hope that we can use as a community to learn and grow together and avoid pitfalls by being wise and benefiting from others' mistakes. So today we are going to talk about separation agreements, some tips I have there. I went to trial yesterday, so you know it's fresh. You know how I do it. And in that category also, I said, you know what, why don't we talk about, because it stemmed from a family law matter that now, you know, the agreement. What happens when the agreement is not followed? You enter into an agreement. You'd be like, what happens next? Like, well, then you'll be back in court if people don't comply. Most times I find that they do, but sometimes it could go left. And I want to go over a key mistake that you should avoid in doing that. So we're going to get into that. I wanted to say congratulations to Wendy Williams. Oh, I don't have cable. Oh, y'all, because when it came down to slicing out some of what I wanted to do on a monthly basis, it was not going to be less shopping for more cable. So I let the cable go. I let it go. But sometimes on YouTube, they'll show like clips and I'll check in to see what's going on or read the news. I'll read the news about it. And, you know, they show a little clip of the show that, yes, Wendy is taking on that thing and she made it through. So that's what you got to do with our obstacles. We're all doing it. We're all living the same. I mean, but when you're famous and you have focus, you live on a grand public stage. And I always commend, the famous people, because you are on stage and it's what everybody else is going through, but don't nobody care what anybody else is doing. They care about what you're doing. So because you're, a public figure. So congratulations. I like to see that. But it also brought up some subpoints that I wanted to talk about that may be of issue, like dissipation of assets, dealing with that, adultery, and then this idea of business assets within the relationship. Like, I'm going to be really interested in this case to learn and look at and see if I can glean, because he had roles in her business. Like, he had titles of, I don't know what and how their business infrastructure is designed and how it's intertwined, but it's going to be interesting to look at how that unfolds. Hopefully, if they amicably work it out, we won't know that much, and if it gets really messy, then it'll be all out in the public. And I hope they, even if I don't learn as much as I would like, I do it the way that would be most amicable. Is always the best way to go. So that gets into this first topic. Well, no, before that, it's spring. Yes, it's like 80 degrees over here in Washington, D.C. area today. Well, it's like 70 something now. It's supposed to get up to 80. We're not at 80 yet. That is the forecast. Let's see. We do pretty good in the summer months. It's in the winter months where our meteorologists will just have us left out there like, whoa, didn't know this was coming. Or we anticipate and buy goods and supplies and nothing happens. But that's Mother Nature letting you know that, look, don't think that you really could predict me, okay? Now, I'll let y'all get some clues, but I'll switch it up on you. But anyway. So with spring, I was like this, let's check in. How are you doing with your New Year's resolutions? It's like, remember those things from the winter? Well, it's springtime. And that is, one of the great quotes that I love from Nichiren Daishonin. I am a Buddhist. I practice Buddhism. I like to say I'm practicing Buddhism, and I have been practicing Buddhism for 19 years. Starting May 7th that's my anniversary. So I'm starting my celebration early, and it's just really helped me a lot along my way in terms of getting some clarity about what's really mine. I find that in my practice of law, dealing with a lot of people, dealing with myself, sometimes we have a lot of disillusionment. You know what I mean? Like, there's just what you think about a situation could be more off than you believe it to be. So this goes into this key mistake that I want us to not do. Key mistake that I want you guys to take away from today's show is don't do it yourself. Don't do it yourself. If it's just about the kids, right? And you could write that down as clearly. I think in a custody agreement, you probably could get that nailed. You know what I mean? But when it comes to money, when it comes to assets and property, if you're going to do it, make sure you get it reviewed by an attorney. I know the idea of just calling up an attorney for something routine and not criminal, or someone in the ambulance, for something routine seems a little different, right? But I want to introduce and make sure you know consultations, because here's the deal. Here's how this works, right? It's always the front end consultation is always like, you probably save, it's like 10% of the overall cost of just starting a litigation. It's that, proportional to the initial retainer to get going when something's gone awry. So it's always good, and the fact that if you're entering into agreements, there could be disputes later on. What you really want is someone that has just have some humility, okay? When it comes, if it's if there's assets at stake that you don't want to lose, do the preventative thing and make sure you have a legal professional, you know what I mean? Spend a few $100s to save yourself a lifetime of heartache and pain. Do you know how disappointed you would be? And I've just experienced this, y'all. So I really mean this. The heartbreak I had to deal with when this lady realized that her agreement was faulty in the drafting. That there were holes like, you didn't write down this, and you didn't write down that. Okay, well, it happens. But I want you guys to not do that. You can, if you want to save costs, you can save 90% of the cost of just getting the litigation started by doing consultation, and also save yourself some disappointment, possibly. So get the agreement reviewed. If you want to draft and say, hey, I don't want to spend $1,000, but you doing it, okay, maybe, if it's the kind of contract people are comfortable doing that with, myself, an attorney, or someone in your area will agree to do that. But it's worthwhile to have that be part of any agreement that parties enter into without retaining counsel to negotiate it on their behalf. At a minimum, that's what you got to do. You got to do that. Because what happens is this agreement sits on the shelf until there's a problem. Just like insurance. Remember, you don't look at your policy till you be like, hold on, do I got roadside? Because I'm on the roadside. Do y'all do that? Because I need some help. That's when you look to see what kind of coverage you got when there's a situation. But now that I be around the personal injury attorneys, I said, well, I got good insurance. Maybe I should reduce some of this here. I'm one of them policies, they lick chops like, yeah, we got limits, But anyway, I digress. So the agreement sits there on the shelf until there's a problem. You pick it up, you dust it off. You be like, Now, we had said what? And without having someone review it, that there's a lot that goes into contracts. We've seen where we learn contracts by looking at how many situations went wrong. That's how we learn the law in law school, With cases or controversies where they didn't do this and they didn't do that, and then they went to court and then they lost, and it's like, oh, you got to do that. That's how it's taught. So we go over a lot of breakdowns in contract negotiations over the years. We're just learning. Everybody's learning and passing it on. Like, look, I did that and I didn't do this and it went to court and we lost. You'd be like, oh, okay, don't do that. That's how we learn the law. So we have spent a lot of time with a lot of breakdowns and that could go wrong and that's how we're looking at the scenario. What could not happen in the future? And then we got to go back to this agreement. Would have covered that. For instance, definitions. Clearly defined terms. When there are big terms in an agreement, if you look at agreements drafted by attorneys and it's a big enough agreement and it's an important enough term of art, it's going to be defined. So when you say, because we know folks like to get cute, I said body of, I said lake. You'd be like, does that include a body of water? Does that include, what I mean, streams? You want to get creative now after the fact so people learn. We're going to define the terms. Make sure that, so if you have, weekends, say you're doing a custody agreement and you say weekends. Well, when does the weekend start? Which day of the week? Is it after school? What time is the drop-off? Where is the drop-off and pick-up? Does this apply in holidays or whatever? So you're going to have a definition section. I think that's a takeaway. Make sure the key things that are the big hooks. I'll pay off all debt. Okay, that's a perfect one. The husband shall pay off all jointly titled debt. Well, you might want to have a definition section as to what does that include. You know what I mean? Credit card debt, mortgage debt. I just meant, the debt we had together. Okay, well, does that include the mortgage? Because you're going to pay that off? You get that done right now. You know what I mean? So you're like, no, that just, maybe it's just unsecured debt. Then you have a definition. So that's what happens. That's a process that we've spent a lot of time with. So I just say at the end of the day, don't be so cheap that you get stuck. Do not conserve that much. That is risky. That's irresponsible. That would be, if you was an attorney, there's something we would have done you done conducted just a disservice against yourself by being reckless. That's reckless endangerment when it comes to doing business, to go ahead and draft a whole agreement with money involved like that, or something important to you happening or not happening regarding your child, and you didn't just get someone to make sure that what you see, they see, and kind of there's a meeting of the minds regarding someone who does this for a living. So I'm gonna need y'all to do that. Because, once the problem has occurred, I can't go back and fix the agreement. I got to just roll with what you wrote. You know what I mean? I mean, like, dang, I would have wrote this and I would have wrote that. You ain't write this and you ain't write, oh, okay, all right, And now then you come get us to go litigate on your stuff that you wrote. Oh, I'm like, all right, okay. I don't want to do that. Okay? I don't want to do that. Whew! I like when my colleague did it. I mean, like, okay, so what was going on? Because there's going to be we didn't just go to school because the internet didn't exist, y'all. Come on now. Y'all think that. No, we was using the internet in long time. So anyway, that is one of the, there's more. Okay, so, there's more. There's more. So let's talk about, another issue that comes up when I think about possibly what's going to be the issues regarding this, I'm just not going to, the Wendy Williams divorce has brought up some topics that I want to cover, but I'm not going to keep referring back as if I'm like blogging on her, okay? So I just want to talk about the issue. So one of the issues that comes up that made me think about is when I'm hearing about, what was going on is dissipation. That idea. And dissipation is the concept that, remember, you're one economic union for the most part, unless you entered some agreement that said otherwise, right? So then there's a concept of you're supposed to be using the resources that you make to contribute to the furtherance of this marriage. You know what I mean? That's what you kind of pledged to do, right? This was home base, and this is what you was working on, right? And if you then just be like sloughing off the money, that's against the marriage, maybe in and outside relationship, dissipation, that's one of those definitely you was wasting the money, that was due to the relationship. You were wasting it now. Dissipation, you was wasting it. And that can be brought back in. And a determination, let me tell you how the law works. And this is something that you should know. Because it happens regularly, and I'm going to bring it down to a real regular example that happens in 401ks and in divorces. So y'all going to relate to this, and it's going to be the big example and the small example as well. Okay, well, wait, y'all going to have a cliffhanger. And I didn't even do it on purpose. So we're going to have to stop. I'm so sorry. I'll be right back. It's getting good. We're going to continue with this dissipation and things that you need to know in terms of your marital situation and dissipation for 401ks and stuff. So stay tuned, Carmiece Grace Radio. We're going to do check-in with traffic and weather, and when I come back, we're going to continue this really interesting discussion.
Washington, D.C.'s News Talk, 1450 AM WOS.
I don't know, this screen looks hazy. It's just like going in and out. I think it's the phone. Anyway, thanks for tuning in. It's spring. Yay! I'm so happy spring's here. So I'm going to go over this because, you know, this case is just like, I want my girl when it just take it by the horns and turn that tea into super hot tea and everybody be glued in on you, girl. Get it. Get it. That's how you do it. But it takes a lot. Like, she really shared. Well, I only saw like a few seconds of it, but it was like she was sharing kind of, I think, you know, kind of coming to being in alignment with oneself and getting clarity on some things. That's how it happens. I gotta make sure. I'm sorry. I gotta pay attention to my engineer.
Tomorrow, you triumph.
Stand by.
Okay.
68 degrees on our way to 82. I'm Angela Foster.
There'll be a couple things going on in the studio. He's in the booth talking to me, telling me when the commercial's over so I can be ready. Welcome back to the Carmiece Graves Radio Show. I'm attorney CPA Carmiece T. Graves, and today we are discussing family law. I practice bankruptcy, estate planning, and family law in Maryland and DC. And today I just wanted to, I tell people, some, stuff in the news has caused me to think about this issue of dissipation. So before we took the break for traffic and weather, we started to kind of lay the foundation of what that looks like, which is wasting assets, on something. So spending money and using resources on an activity that's not for the advancement of the marriage. So you could clearly see how if you spending money on an outside relationship, that might not be for the benefit of the marriage, but in some little situations, people work it out. So it wouldn't, if it's some people prefer and think that's helpful, then you wouldn't be using it as a basis of your divorce and it wouldn't be an issue. So this would not apply to people who down with third parties. It wouldn't be a complaint. It would be like, life is good. We wouldn't be having this discussion because this is subject to the breakup, right? So, and clearly someone had a problem with the outside situation if they're using it as a basis of a claim. And so, a dissipation, but dissipation can be, maybe you didn't even, I think you could use that if you had maybe an addiction, I don't know, you just wasted it gambling or something. I think that could be into, but a lot of times, so anyway, but it's just this idea that you didn't use the assets for the benefit of the marriage. And you look at that. And the other thing, so 401ks, so I said I'm going to relate it to that. So for example, this is an interesting concept that actually when I first learned about it, it really kind of shocked me. Like, what? So if you're married, and I'm talking particularly, I'm dealing with Maryland law right now, and you have a 401k, and you take a loan against your 401k, right? And you go ahead and, use the money for, even if, now this is funny, when you take the loan, when it's time to separate, what they do, and this is why the idea of dissipation is serious, but so the math, it becomes a part of the math in the marital award. So here's why it matters. So if I say, and I prove that we had $1 million and you went ahead and you dissipated $500,000 of our money, BSing it, in a way that wasn't good for the marriage, if I win on that point, when it comes now time to calculate how much I get, we're not going to say, oh, what's left? Oh, you spent the $500,000. I get to go back to be like, no, run the math as if that $500,000 ain't go nowhere because it wasn't supposed to go nowhere, and I'm not about to take a loss because of that. So then the starting number of the marital calculation changes, because if I win, we starting at $1 million. If I lose, we starting at $500,000. What's left? So either I'm gonna get $500,000, my half of the $1 million, or I'm gonna get $250. I got $250 in this game, so I'm gonna say, no, you weren't supposed to spend that money on that. And that matters. So, because in reality, there's only $500,000. Remember now, the reality is, say, an example, there was $1 million, you blew $500,000. At the end of the day, right now, when we doing the math, in the bank, it's $500,000. But if I win and I say, oh, you wasted that $500,000, we starting at $1 million. My award is $500,000. That means the rest of that account is mine. Send it all over, all of it. You spent yours already. That's how that game goes. So that determination is vicious. Okay, because it's going to go from fiction and crash against reality, because it's a fiction. $1 million is not in that bank account. They're like, well, let's pretend it's there for this situation right now to come up with it. Let's just pretend. Let's just play pretend. And that's what they do for the 401ks as well. When you take a loan against your 401k in Maryland, when it comes time to do that math, you be like this, well, I had $25,000 in the account, but we had taken $10,000 out, so now it's only $15,000 in there. So I'll give her $7,500 and I'll keep my $7,500 and we call it good, right? They be like this, wait a minute. So how much was in there? You start with, so now you got 15, and then you had taken out 10, so you started with 25,000, really? Well, look, let's pretend that the $25,000 is in there now, although it's not, and we'll split it in half. No, so you want to give her $7,500, but no, half of 25 is $12,500. So no, she gonna get $12,500 no matter how it impact your part. So now out of 15, remember the reality, you remember, I just said he had $15,000 in that bank account. That's how they got $7,500 a piece. Now, with the fiction and the new math, she get $12,500. So out of that account, you only got $2,500 left in there after we get done with our order. Send over $12,500. You bet we be doing crazy math. They was talking about, because there wasn't no money in there. The money was gone. She knew I took the money. Ooh, y'all, but when I learned that one, I was shocked. I was like, we got to do what? Oh, no, let me go look up the rule on that. I was not happy. I was like this, oh, my Lord. Y'all got to know that. Y'all got to know that. Or you can have an agreement. So maybe, maybe that might be something, I don't know. You take a big money out the 401k, you might want to write that down, what that was about, that you got to be able to defend against that. I'm sure on the front end, that's not this, baby, we cool and all. Can you write I don't want no problems later, so can you write that? I don't think that's... Not that I'm saying things gonna go bad or nothing, but can you write down, can we memorialize what happened right now? Because you know how the rules is. You know what, actually, let me tell you what my real remedy would be. I'd be like this, we ain't gonna take it out that, because it's gonna count against me either way. Let's use some other money. How about that? Where's the cash at? Let's use that. They're going to use the real cash on that one. We're going to count cash as cash. This 401k account, that means we don't need to be using that money, because they're going to do fictional math at the end of the day. Ooh, look, y'all done got some good advice here today. I told you what my strategy would be. Let's take it out the cash account. We ain't got it? Well, we ain't got it. We ain't got it then, because that's not real money over there, because they're going to do you want to write something down, because I don't think nothing going to happen. But you know, people get different, you know what I'm saying? People get different. We start breaking up, you start becoming a monster, you know what I'm saying? Getting all vicious. Ooh. So speaking of which, there's an interesting phenomenon that I want to talk about, which is, that's why I really love family law, because family law is really personal about human beings interacting with one another, relationships. And one of the things I've seen is people really need to, no, that don't even sound right. Well, who I'm telling people what they need to do? Who you? You know what I'm saying? You go to school a little bit, you think you tell people what they need to do? No. What I'm saying is, it's a funny phenomenon in relationships. When you do family law, it's funny to see sometimes that the relationship changes. People really try and hide. Here's something funny that happened. One of the things that people don't know that we can determine as attorneys is we can tell the temperature gauge as to the hostility that you have towards your partner. We have a hostility meter. It's just what we do. You know, you come in, hey, this person is the worst person on the planet. And, you know, we kind of gauge the hostility of it. Now, if the temperature meter gets really warm, something is really off to us. Like, you start talking real soft about the person. You'd be like this, if he would just change, everything would get better. You know, he just need to get himself together. When we hear that, we'd be like this, oh, shoot. I think I'm being sabotaged here right now. And this happens in cases. Sometimes I find that when you select me as your attorney, sometimes I see that men, and it's only been with my women and with me representing a woman and then having, you know, obviously, you know, I have the wife or the girlfriend or whatever. I have seen how people know, oh, it's another way when women do it. So when men do it, they come, they're sweet. They come back to get their influence. They come back to say, don't listen to these attorneys. They're causing problems. And man, it is so evident. It's funny to us. It's like an inside joke. It really is. You're like, okay. Seems like, you know, and then we get to the divorce. Y'all sitting all close in court. We were like, okay. As long as you, and it's funny that men sometimes be like this, look, I'm going to work this out. I know what it's really about. You know what I mean? She wants some attention. I'm going to give her some attention and settle this case. You got to love it. It's just being human. It's just really being human. We got to let us, you know, have space to be flawed and to still be wonderful people. Now, quickly, someone wanted me to comment on Trump. And this is, you're going to get like 15 seconds. It's just, be careful about how much focus you put on something that you don't want to persist. Be really careful. This man got a lot of momentum, and y'all just add to it with the Mueller report. Yo, ease back. Focus on what you want to have happen. Where are the candidates that we're focused on? What is our agenda? What are we about? Because if you all wrapped up in somebody else and something else, you making that happen. And you're adding a lot of momentum that right now, if it were to happen today, the office of the president probably would not change if we were to vote today. Be careful. Let's just focus on run our own race, okay? So anyway, that's all I have. Thank you so much for tuning in to the Carmiece Grace Radio Show. Jay Franklin Born Women's Tea. We're having the formal tea this Sunday at the Camelot. If you want to put on your hat, show your style, you know, really celebrate women in the law. I think we're honoring State's Attorney Baltimore, Stacey Mobley. I hope I got her name right. Mosley. I hope I got it. Mosley. Okay, I love you. I'm trying. Okay, so anyway, see you guys next week. Tune into the Carmiece Grace Radio Show, and we'll share more information about estate planning, family law, and bankruptcy. Take care.
You've been listening to the Carmiece Graves Show with attorney Carmiece Graves. To reach Attorney Graves, please call 240-573-7153. That's 240-573-7153. Be sure to tune in next Tuesday at 10 a.m. right here on WOL 1450 AM, where information is power.
Good morning, folks. I'm Earl Kirk. Here's the latest from News1.com, brought to you by KFC.